Rodriguez show on the nextgenusa.com, Sensorless TV. Tonight, I got my partner Mikey Mike from the East Coast representing, and I got myself from California. Tonight, we're missing, two of our partners, Steamboat Willie and Alphonse. Other things came up, as in life, things come up and things have to be changed. But you got Mike and I tonight to talk about. There's many things we can talk about tonight. But Mike, I want to start with the new Speaker of the House. I want your opinion on
Yeah.
this.
Well, I don't know too much about him, but from what I've heard in the last few days, he seems interesting and willing to reach across the aisles on some things and get stuff done.
It's
So,
I find it a bit strange because, and I've listened to him, a few speeches he's given since he's been selected. He seems more far right than Jordan was on some issues. Um, and I'm
oh,
surprised the Democrats went with that. Um, it's kind of a shock for me. I'm looking at why would they? I'm always suspicious on anything that's happening in the House anyway. But why? I
oh
mean,
yeah.
why not Jim Jordan, who seems a little bit more central than this guy does?
Yeah, I was kind of surprised when Jim Jordan didn't get in. I would
Well,
like to see him get in, but maybe
yeah,
this
you
guy's
and me
more of a
both.
unifier. Maybe this guy's more of a unifier.
And it could be that he hasn't been in Congress a long time either. So um, somebody who's not really entrenched yet, as far as we know, um, with any particular group, um, whether it's a
Right?
Republican or the Democrat side. So it just seems an interesting choice. Came out of nowhere for me anyway. Um, so I'm
Yeah, I wasn't sure who was going to end up in there. I mean, they cut down Scalise, they cut down Jordan. I thought Byron Donalds might even get in.
Yeah, I heard some support for him also, which was interesting.
Yeah,
Again, maybe they have this. They need some fresh blood in there. You know, who knows what's really going on with the party to begin with? But at least we have a speaker, so some decisions
right.
can be made and some things can be discussed. We have a lot going on throughout the world right now. We have
Yeah, they've got the
us involved in China with
they
China
got the
now.
federal.
China's in the Middle East. Um, we have Navy vessels out there near the China Sea to protect the Philippines
Yep,
and Taiwan now. Um, you know,
yep.
we
Then
got
they got the
rumors flying
federal
about.
budget in about 22 days.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up because I think people need to be aware that if any politician running for office promises you that he or she is going to um, fix a deficit, it's going to take more than 2 terms to fix this deficit. You can't fix it overnight. There's no way. Um,
Right,
so,
right,
so fair warning, voters. If a politician tells you he's going to fix the deficit, he's lying because he can't or she can't. Right? Not immediately.
right.
It's going to take a good 12 years to fix it, to even make a dent in it
At
at this
least.
point. Right? So um,
Yeah,
be aware of politicians that make those guarantees and stay away from them, whether they're Republicans or Democrats, because they can't fix it overnight. Right now, we're asking
yeah.
for money. Go ahead, Mike. Sorry.
No, you're probably on the same track I was going to say. They're looking for more money for Israel, and they wanted more money for Ukraine. The Ukraine, I think we ought to step back from a little bit and put that money on our southern border and let the people that are near the Ukraine that it's going to be at their back door if they don't do something. Worry
Well,
about part of it.
yeah, we definitely need to take another look at Ukraine in that sense because I have a bad feeling that this thing in Israel is going to be more than one front fairly quick.
Right.
When we're deploying American troops, moving Marines in closer to the
Yeah.
fight, moving ships to the China Sea. Um, you know, they know something that we don't know. Um, and it's
Yeah.
kind of a scary thought when you think about it. Um,
You know,
what can
they got
happen?
24 soldiers that got injured. And of course, Biden hasn't done anything because he says, well, we're working on it. We'll do it at our time. Well, that's the same shit that Obama did when he said, don't cross this line. No, no, no. Don't cross this line. Don't cross. They're crap. We got a bunch of pussies in those. Sorry, pussies.
No, it's we have no leadership in the White House, right? We got a guy that he forgets what he's saying, he stutters and stammers. How is he going to make a decision? And look, I have nothing against him on a personal level, but I don't think he's there. He's
Right.
not capable to be the president, to make any decision,
No.
and it sends a bad signal um, to our troops. Number one, right? If I was in the army nowadays, uh, I would be the same way people were when old Carter was president. Get him the hell out. He's going to get us killed. Um, we need somebody with the moral
Yeah,
courage to
that's
make.
why the recruiting is stuck.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, and there's a lot of rumors going around about them bringing back the draft and freaking people out. Um, but there is a clause that he could bring it back in case of a national emergency, and who knows what can
He won't
happen.
do it. He ain't got the balls.
Well, I would
Yeah,
say
he won't
that,
have the
but I
balls to do that.
I don't think he's the decision maker anyway. Think about this, right? Let's
Right.
say that does happen and he makes the decision. People are going to blame him, not Obama, right? That's reality,
Right.
right? They're going to blame him, even though a lot of us believe that Obama's still president, right? On the back door. So
Right. Exactly.
whatever decision he makes, if he falls flat on his face, it'll be on him, not anybody else, right? And look,
Yeah. I
you
mean,
see
you look at
what
when
Mr. New.
when
Go ahead.
they went after Al Qaeda,
Yeah.
and they were all sitting around in the Situation Room watching the TV set. The only one in there that didn't want to get him was Biden.
Yep. It's a
You know,
scary
he's
thing.
weak.
It's a scary thing. The things that are happening, and kind of the things that let's use Newsom. Newsom has no business in going to China to talk about climate change in his mind, right? And going to Israel and making comments like if he was president. Um, to me, again, it goes back to everything I've been saying for a while now that I have a feeling that at some point they're going to remove Biden from the White House for medical reasons, probably. And Newsom is going to be the one running against Kamala Harris, and that's a no-brainer, right? He's going to wipe the floor with Kamala. Um, and I
Right.
still believe he's going to
But
be.
then the American
Go ahead, Mike.
then you see the American people that see what goes on in California. Hey, if you want to be homeless, you know, vote for Newsom. You know, everybody's going to see that and then look at the tax rates and everything else. If you want $8 a gallon gas, come on down.
Well, if he does
You
run,
know, they're
I
going
hope
to.
people do see that if he does run. Um,
Well, the smart
you know,
people will. Yeah,
there was a report that came out a couple days ago that last year close to 1 million people in California moved out to other
yeah. I
states.
know a few. I talked to one tonight that might be thinking about it.
Yeah, I can't say that I blame them, but it's kind of a red flag when you see people bailing on a state. Um, we got great weather, right? You're within driving
Yeah,
distance from a lot of nice places, and yet they're willing to leave, go somewhere else because of what's going on here politically. Um, and it's a
exactly.
shame. It's a shame. It's a shame. And something that I hadn't thought about. I know colleges and universities are where there's a lot of woke people and a lot of anti-American people in there. I didn't realize how bad it was until last night when I went to an event and the dean from Pepperdine was speaking, right? And he goes to different
Right.
colleges and he speaks, and he was talking about what transformed those colleges into what they are today. And this is what I never thought about. So he was talking about the 60s and 70s when the hippies were all, um, you know, peace and love and
Of
harmony
love.
and all that. Those were the people that graduated from
Yeah.
college, and those are the professors nowadays teaching the students the nonsense that they're teaching, right? And I never thought about
Yeah.
it in that respect, but he was right. Like those people from the Berkeley area
Right.
are the ones that are teaching our kids now about hate, right? About racial issues, right? Because truth be told, I never really felt that. I know there's racism. You have some racism wherever you go, but I never realized how much they exploited that with our students when they're protesting for Hamas. How does that make sense?
Right.
Right? I didn't see anybody protesting for Al Qaeda when they blew up the Twin Towers, or
Right.
whoever did it.
Well,
It just strange.
you did, but they were
It's just strange to me that this is where we're at, where kids are just, and I call them kids because they're younger than I am, but they're protesting against Israel. Israel is evil. Hamas is perfect, right? There's nothing wrong with them. And they need to understand the Palestine people chose Hamas to run their government. They chose them, right?
right.
Nothing against the Palestinian people, but that's the leadership they chose. So they need to do away with it to decrease a lot of the stuff that goes on.
It was like in South Africa when apartheid was there. The people put them in power, and then when they got tired of the crap, they booted them out and put Nelson Mandela in. The
And
clerk was gone, Mandela's in. They got to make a change themselves.
but and you know where I'm going with this, Mike. The problem is that what happens in the Middle East has to do with religion, right? And people
Oh
get
yeah,
caught up on that part of it. Um, Kind of like we do in the U.S., right? Everybody, if you are a far right Christian, you that's all your focus is going to be on. Um, Not that they're terrorists here like they are in the Middle East, but it's that's been going on for years, right? If we go back, what,
oh yeah,
2,000, 3,000 years of this, and it's a
yeah. Go back to
constant,
Ottoman
right?
Empire, Crusades.
And
Yeah, I mean it's been going on since before you, me, and the rest of your family was alive.
yeah, and and last night as I'm listening to the dean speak, Dean Peterson, I brought up a comment. I'm like, but that's what's happening at our universities and colleges is happening in our schools now, right? It's happening in elementary school, junior high schools, and high schools. Right? They're not teaching civics, right? They're spending time on teaching gender issues or um, 2 + 2 = 5 because math is wrong, math is racist, and we're not
Yeah,
focused on things that are important. Let's teach them math, English, science, right? Civics, right? Let them decide when they're adults which part of the spectrum they want to be in. Do they want to be a far
right.
left person, a far right, or in the middle? Let's not brainwash them into something that they truly don't understand at this point. Um,
Yep.
I don't know. I don't know if it was in the news in the East Coast yesterday, but there was a drag queen reading hour in San Fernando, California, right? At a
Yeah.
public
Another one.
library, right? And parents showed up in droves. Parents showed up in droves. They stopped the show, which is perfect, right? Um, and they were called extremists because they didn't want a drag queen reading books to their kid, right? So we're talking about third and fourth grade kids, right? Would they
And what
allow a
kind of
stripper
books?
to go in there and read a book?
Yeah, if they did, I'd go.
Right? Would they allow a male stripper to go in there dressed as a librarian and then strip and read a book to the kids,
Right.
right? So,
And
and
what
I
kind
and
of
I've
books
had
are they reading to them?
and I've had, I've been attacked online about my views with parental rights. I don't understand what the confusion is. And I had this discussion with this woman last week online. Um, she accused me of being against LGBTQT. And I said, no. I said, when I speak of parental rights, I speak of parental rights for everyone. I don't exclude LGBTQT students. I said, all I'm
Right.
saying is that parents have a right to know what's going on in the classroom. I told her,
Sure.
school is quick to call my house and say, your child is absent today. Why? But if my child wants to cut off their genitals, they
Right.
don't feel that they have to call me. And that's why I think it's,
Right.
enough is enough with that nonsense, right? We need to,
I mean, when we were going to school, it was if you were in the nurse's office, they had to call you to take aspirin.
yeah.
You know, so it's just they've lost their way.
Well, and a lot of it is Newsom is a great example. He talks about kids also have rights. Yeah, they do have rights. However, as a parent, that child is not old enough to make a decision like that, or any decision for that matter, right? I don't want to eat your dinner.
Right.
I want something else. No, it doesn't work that way, son, daughter. This is what we're going to
That's
do now. We're going to have this,
right.
right? And I think that's the bigger issue, that we want to give kids right when it's convenient for them, but when it's not convenient for them, then we want to take it away from them, which makes no sense to me. Um, First of all, you guys know how I
Well, that
feel.
goes back to the weak. It goes back to weak leadership, and because when I was growing up, it was, look, you live under my roof. You'll eat what I tell you to eat, or you don't eat at all. The clothes on your back and everything else. And now you got leaders that want to appease these kids because they think, oh, all these kids are entitled, and it's crap.
Well, and you're right, right? And the reason is because they want to make sure this touchy feely nonsense um, that actually began, you know, probably in the 90s when we started giving awards for participating, right? Everybody deserves a
Yeah, right,
trophy, right?
right,
So kids don't learn to lose and get better, right? Because they know they're going to get rewarded regardless. Right? And I'm not saying that all parents did that and all organizations did that, but that was the beginning of the end. When you start patting people in the back, it doesn't teach them anything. If they think that everything is okay, they're going to continue to commit crime. They're going to continue to not be successful,
right,
and we're stealing that away from them. We're stealing them the drive to be good, to try to be successful, to try to be a
right.
self-sustaining human being that
Right.
cares about other human beings,
Exactly.
right? Because I don't know about when you were
Competition, I
growing
think,
up.
is
Go ahead.
competition is a good thing
Oh
because
yeah,
it builds morale, it builds self determination, and now you get, like you said, oh, Johnny, you were on the bowling team, the participate trophy. Not that you got the best score, you could have sucked, you could have got gutter balls every time, but
right,
it makes you work better, and
right. And
that's crap. Give me a gold star.
you know, because we get so caught up on feelings anymore, right? Like you can't really say anything. One thing I was talking to Will about earlier today, or maybe it was last night. Um, we were discussing at the table that I sat with a few ladies about um, silent violence, right? I never thought about that. This 95-year-old woman brought it up to me last night. You know what that is, Tony? I'm like, no, not really. She goes, well, if you disagree with somebody and you don't respond to them and you don't say, oh, you're right, it's silent violence because you don't agree with them. And she goes, kind of like when you speak, it's speaking violence because if you disagree with them, then they lose their mind because you're not condoning their behavior or you're not agreeing with their point. So it's considered violence. Like, it kind of makes sense because people get outraged if you don't agree with them, if you speak your mind, and if you don't say anything, they're still outraged because you're not supporting their point of view, right?
Right. Yeah.
Which
That's
which
what
is
we call
sad to me
freedom of
because
choice, folks.
like even in the army we had a right to speak, and that is a very structured environment,
Right.
and you can still speak, right? And you didn't have to disrespect anybody. You can still say what you thought, but yet nowadays you can't. Nowadays you have to be careful. You have to, you go on LinkedIn and you see people with their pronouns next to their names. Unheard of
Oh,
a
it's
few
like
years back, right? He,
I've
she,
got my new pronoun. My
what
new
is it, Mike?
pronoun is exalted ruler. I'm the exalted ruler. That's my new name.
Hey, I like that name. And
it,
and
it sticks.
it's to me, you could be whoever you want to be. It doesn't, like, I don't care, right? If you want to be a
Right.
girl and you're an adult and you're a man,
Fucking big bird.
then go do it. More power to you. But don't keep attacking young kids who, 9, 10, 11 years old, don't know how to wipe their butt properly. And you're going to talk to them about, well, because you feel that way, maybe you should have been a girl, and maybe you should chop off your breasts, and maybe you should call CPS on your parents because they don't agree with what you want to do. But me being your school teacher or the nurse or the principal, I agree with what you want to do. So go ahead and do it. Well, they agree because they're not going to be there when that child's an adult regretting what they did when they were
Right.
10 or 11 years old. Right. That's parents are going to
He
deal with
wants to
that
kill
shit.
himself.
Yeah. I mean, this
Yeah.
issue has become so personal to me because I can't fathom why parents are called extremists. It's beyond me. This is what we want. We want parents engaged. We want parents taking care of their kids. We want parents fighting for their, and they're called extremists.
What
And
did
not
they
just
call that
by,
when we were growing up? We weren't extremists. We were disciplinarians. And
yeah.
now that word discipline is
Well,
always gone.
we have this councilwoman running for office for Congress now. Her name is Laura Friedman. Um, she's the assembly person for my district. And she pushed and got this HPV vaccine kind of mandated for parents to give it to the little girls, right? That should not be a government anything.
No,
That should be up to the
no.
parents. You know, I don't know why they make decisions like that. And I know a lot of times people don't realize that a lot of these bills are being passed because I know they work. They come home tired. They got to cook dinner. They got to give kids a bath, a shower, put them to bed. They have to be educated on what's happening at whether it's a state, local, federal level. You can't be finding out about a bill after it's signed or when it's about to be signed.
Right.
Our politicians need to tell us when things are going on that are going to either benefit or not benefit us. And even if they don't know which way to go, at least tell us, hey, there's a bill coming. They're going to force the HPV vaccine on your children. Um, if you're not into that, you better call, right? None of them say that. None of them. And,
And if you call, they don't care anyways. It's not like they have a pad going for, against, for, against. It's whatever they want to do. And that's bullshit. They're
to
not
me,
being
it's,
a representative.
well, they're not being our public servants. That's how I see it, right? Um, these people
Yeah.
become millionaires in politics. The ones that are good, they don't become millionaires. They just fight every day, right? They just fight every day. But I think there has to be, and I don't know if there's rules in our state legislature that they can't release information about bills that are being worked on. Um, but I feel that they should tell us, hey, these are the bills we're
Should
working
be.
on, right? Have a town hall Zoom meeting. I don't expect Laura Friedman to be on it because she's busy, but she's got a staff, right? Her staff can brief the neighborhood and say, hey guys, there's a bill going to be written,
Sure.
about this. Um, Go to the website, check it out. Because if you tell people, they will then look. right? If you don't tell them,
Yep.
they're not going to look. It's just reality, right? Everybody's super busy. Some parents have two jobs, some are single parents. Um, so we got to make sure that, there's neighborhood council meetings every month, right? There's
And
city
put it on
council
the
meetings,
website because everybody has a what? A phone. They could
right?
check that shit out.
And you need to be
They got
aware.
no excuse.
You need to be aware, parents, um, that book drag queen book thing wasn't advertised, not at all. It just got somebody got wind of it and they spread it to social media, right? These are the things we need to do to help people know what's happening. One parent probably found that, or one organization,
Right?
they blasted to everybody. Everybody saw it. Everybody showed up. It was peaceful, except for the one Antifa lady who everybody knows in California. Um, she got arrested because, of course, she's Antifa, right? And everything with her has to do with LGBTQ or violating human rights or some BLM nonsense kind of thing. So we can spread the word. Parents can spread the word. People can spread the word about everything. They just have to know what's coming so they can spread the word. Because and that's the problem. Like I can go into Laura Freeman's website. I can see the highlights of everything she's done wonderful for my district. I can't see anything about what they're working on, and that is
Right.
that's a challenge to me. That I think we have a right
The
to
only
do.
is done.
Right,
Yep.
and
I
that's the
mean, I
challenge for
saw
me. That I
something.
think. Go ahead, Mike.
I
Sorry.
saw something tonight on the East Coast where they want to have the governor wants to have National Civil Rights Year, and I'm going civil rights for who? I mean, there's already been a bill passed for some parts of the community about everybody else.
Well, for you want to hear something in California? We have the Ebony Alert
Oh,
for only African
okay.
American children. Right. Again, they start this racist nonsense by doing crap like that. Right. A child is
Yeah,
a child,
exactly.
regardless of skin color, regardless of anything else. They're a child. So we don't need to have.
Yeah,
Next, we're gonna have a brown alert, or Asian alert.
yeah.
Where does it end?
Just that's why we have the neutral and the amber alert.
That
And that
makes sense
covers
to me.
everything. And then we got one if a policeman gets assaulted or killed, they have a blue alert. And that doesn't there's no color that's it's only associated with the law enforcement, or amber for everybody. Or if you're elderly, we have a silver alert
Right. And
with a
and
silver.
you know, they perpetuate all this racism and all this crap, and they stir the pot
Yep.
so that people fight each other and don't pay attention to their nonsense, right? Because that's the truth. They
Yep.
don't pay attention to the nonsense that the government is doing, right? And we don't vote for people based on their character. We vote for people based on popularity or how much money they raise so that they can give to special interest groups. Because that's what happens, right? Adam Schiff, we've all known he's a shitbag from day one, and he keeps getting reelected, right? This jackass raised over $8 million the last 3 months. Um, with everything he's done wrong to the Armenian community, to the American people, to political enemies, right? He lied about Trump,
Oh yeah.
right? And yet it's okay. God forbid if I say a lie, right? Even if I take defend parents. Why do you defend parents? Well, why not? Right? Parents have a right to dictate whatever that child does, because if that child does something wrong, guess who the authorities are going to come to? The parent. Right?
That's right.
When the kid gets a ticket, who goes to court with that kid? The parent, not the school.
Right.
Right? When that kid goes through a transition at 12 years old, and then at 18 they realize they screwed up, it's the
And wants to
parent,
kill
not that.
himself,
Yeah, not the school,
and then
not the
wants to kill
principal, not the
and
teacher.
kills himself, and who's got to bury him? The parent.
All right. So, we keep, and I don't know when it really, I know it's been going on for years, but I think when COVID hit, that was a perfect opportunity for the government to move in and control and manage everything because they scared everybody to death, right, with their nonsense, and people ran away in fear, right? You had family and friends that wouldn't visit each other because you weren't vaccinated or you didn't wear a mask, right? So they
Yeah, the
didn't want you in your
facility wouldn't
house.
let you in.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Your family member is down in the hospital and you can't go see them because you're not vaccinated. Well, if the person is already dying, what difference does it make at this point, right?
right, right.
At least let them die in peace, knowing that there's a family member with them, and they took that away from people, um, which is very disheartening, right? And
It's a
and
control
people
tactic.
and people still today buy a lot of that nonsense. Like to me, if the government tells me that the sky is blue, I'm just gonna say no, it's not. It's black, right? Because I don't believe anything that comes out of their mouth anymore. I just don't.
Nope.
They talk about we're not involved in wars. Well, then please explain to me how two Marine regiments have been deployed, how Air Force Squadron has been deployed. We got two different strike
Right,
forces in the Middle East. We got another strike force near the
right,
China, but we're not at war. No, no, we're not. We got American soldiers getting attacked, right? Wounded, but we're not at war. No, we're not. No. It's just your imagination, right? At some point,
yeah.
the people need to stand up and push back and demand action. Right? We can bring it down to California with Gascon. Another one. Gascon did not lie during his election. He did not lie. He said the truth. He said, "I'm going to do all these things that he did," and he still won the election. Right?
People are
We try to
dumbasses.
recall him twice. He's still in there. Still in there. Right? Biden. I can't remember
Our people are
anything
moving out.
when Biden was running for president. When he was hiding in his little basement, but he never lied. He said he's going to shut down oil production. He said it. He said he's going to raise taxes. He said things are going to change, and everything he said is happening. Right? The economy took a dump. We don't have enough fossil fuel to sustain ourselves. We don't even have enough bullets for the army to fight.
Right.
The Marine Corps, they're so far behind in uniforms. The sergeant major
Oh,
of the
I heard
Marine
that.
Corps spoke today that they're not going to have uniforms until 2024.
Yeah, I heard that too a few weeks ago.
So think about this. We can't even provide uniforms for guys that are going to fight. We can't recruit enough people to join the
Yep.
military because it's too feely for them, or they like being fat and they don't want to run, or whatever the case is. They don't realize how good they have it here. And you hear a lot of these people, I'm going to leave the country if Trump wins. They did that in the past. If Biden
They
doesn't
never
win,
have.
I'm done with America. None of them have left. None of them. Right?
Now we
They
should put
just
them on the plane with the migrant.
spew nonsense. At this point, if you want to leave, we'll do a one-for-one swap with a foreigner. Get
Yeah,
the hell out of here. I don't
we've
need you
already
here.
got enough. When we deport the illegals, when the next president comes in, we'll put them on the plane with them and send them to Nicaragua or to Mexico or wherever they want to go.
No, let's send them to China so they have no rights. That's where
There
they
you go.
belong.
There you go.
That way they have no rights. They can do whatever the Chinese government wants them
Because
to
we
do.
got two,
So
we got 200 of theirs that came across the border.
imagine that. Think about, and you heard about New York, right? What's going on in New York
Which part?
with the president's numbers dropping to one, instead of double digits down to
Oh,
one digit,
yeah. Because I
right?
talked to a friend in New York, and he said, if the day Trump would have my vote, Long Island is actually pretty much went red where Lee Zeldin was living, and I
Right.
can just see it like crawling right up the state because they're taxed to death. They get the migrants and they get all the rest of this shit, and they're gonna flip that state. Watch and see. It might not be this election, but it'll be soon.
Well, and they can thank Biden for that, right? Because the reason his numbers are single digit is because of the illegal aliens that have been pushed to New York in that area.
Oh
So,
yeah,
and that's going to happen in a lot of states because people are tired, right? People are tired of supporting people that aren't really working and not having to pay taxes like we do. It gets old.
right.
It sincerely gets old, right? And yeah, they get abused by some companies in the US, and I get that part, but they're still not, they're probably using somebody else's social security number, somebody else's ID. So somebody else is getting screwed because of identification theft. So, again,
And
the
Joe
people need to
Biden
stand
aided
up.
and abetted it. And Joe Biden aided and abetted that whole process. He should be charged criminally.
Yeah, he
You
should.
know,
The thing
because
that
each one,
that won't happen.
everybody that
Look, even if they have enough evidence to charge Biden with anything, they're not going to charge him. They're just going to retire him because you know, look, we see him in action. The guy's not there. He's just not there,
or
right?
lack of action. Yeah,
Yeah, he's not. And when he speaks, he doesn't know people's names. He forgets where he's at. Um, you know,
I
he was
like to
talking to
find
the
out when his
Australian.
birthday is.
He was talking
When his
about the
birthday
Australian.
comes along, yeah, when his birthday comes along, I want to give him a set of pool stairs just so he can practice climbing them.
Think about this. I don't know if you heard when he was talking to the Prime Minister of Australia the other day, and he confused them with somebody in Israel, right?
Oh,
So he's not there, and that part is saddening that we allow that to happen. Um, Saddening that his wife allows it to happen. I would hope that somebody
yeah,
that cares about me would say, "Hey, you need to resign because you're mumbling, or you're not making any sense, or you forgot your name, um, or you peed your pants. I don't know, whatever he does. Um, the family needs to take hold of that because it's wrong
yeah.
to allow
Because I
him
heard
to.
somebody had a teleprompter out, and they had to write things in there like now now say that like you really mean it. They had to put like scripts in there for him to act. When he was doing the teleprompter thing, and it was you could tell in the show.
No, he's not.
And
He's not.
I got a feeling Jill is because she sits in on every meeting he's in, and
Well, I guess,
kind of
I guess it's like Nancy with Ronald, right? Towards the end,
yeah towards the end,
yeah, kind of
yeah.
like that. But you never hear about, and she was the babysitter of his children, right?
Oh yeah,
And she was a minor, right? Um,
yeah.
but
She
it's
like
okay.
13.
But it's okay because it's Joe Biden, right? Um, it was okay for him to have a relationship with a minor. But I digress when I get there.
And he keeps trying every day.
Yeah,
He'll sniff everybody little miner's hair.
yeah, I digress. So let's go back to the debate for Newsom and DeSantis, um, and maybe you can explain to me why they're debating. I have my own reasons why I know I think they're debating, but what are your thoughts?
I think DeSantis actually agreed to it because he wants to show how better Florida is than California with the haves and the have-nots. He can say, look, we got no state income tax. We got people moving down here from California, New York, everywhere. Our growth is up. And Newsom is going to be, well, he's going to start some line of bullshit. Oh, well, we got the fastest train on the West Coast that doesn't go anywhere, you know. if you watch smell it on the sidewalks as you stroll through San Francisco in the wharf area,
Yeah. Well,
he's
and I
got
think
the haves there and the have-nots.
and I think that something DeSantis I would think he would bring up is the fact that Newsom was the mayor of San Francisco, and he was the beginning of the end for
Right,
San Francisco. Um, and I know a lot of people
right.
throughout the nation really don't know that, um, but those are things that he might want to bring up in the debate. Um, I still think that at the end of the day, I think, and me and Steamboat talked about this today and last night, that they're gonna figure a way of removing Biden and Trump from the race. I don't know how they're going to do it, but I think they will do it. I have a feeling that that's the Democrat plan. Um, and I think the Republicans, the party's so split up. I know the guy they chose is very Trump, so a good Trump supporter,
He's a mega.
but the rest of the party, I don't know if they are. You know what I mean? I just have a distrust with the way the decision making process. I just don't trust them when it comes to that.
I think that's why they're trying to put this court thing all in Trump's laps, thinking that he'll drop out or do whatever, but he's not going to drop out. And he could be. You could have the election, and the next day he could say you're convicted. You're still the president because the
Oh yeah.
Constitution is only 35 and a U.S. citizen. Too bad, Mr. Judge. I
I
now
just
pardon myself from these federal crimes and state ones you can stick up your ass.
I just wish he would shut up more, um, and focus on the election, not the nonsense in the courts, right? Because I think
Well, they're having the Democratic, I mean, excuse me, the Republican debates. I think they're saying said November 8th,
okay, yeah,
and he's going to be down in Miami having a rally the same day. So again, it's funny because they have he has a rally and his numbers are always higher for viewers.
I mean, the numbers are ridiculous at this point. I mean, there's just even if he loses half the percentages, he's still ahead of everybody, right? Um,
Oh yeah,
the numbers don't lie. It is
but
what it is.
but it's it's that thing is promises made, promises kept. When he was in there, prices were down, and the economy hits everybody. Border crossing was down. I mean, your military was built back up. You put more money in the strategic oil reserve, where
Yeah,
ours is probably like this much right now. And like they say, history repeats itself. What did the Japanese do during World War II? We cut their oil supply,
yeah,
and they had a big problem with that. These planes trying to fly across the Pacific ain't gonna happen without oil,
yeah.
and
And I think
Biden cuts it all down.
and I think that's why China's sending their navy out there because they don't want to lose their oil, right? They
No,
get most of their oil from the Middle East, so and they don't want to
yep.
lose it. So they're going to protect their interests. They're not going to stand by anymore and see what happens. A wait and see attitude, because it can affect their oil supply. Um, and look, we know that they don't give a crap about the climate. Um, it's all nonsense. Us wasting time
No,
with
hell
them.
no.
They're the biggest polluters in the world. They don't care. They never will. It doesn't make them money to care about the environment. It doesn't.
Their country was wearing masks before even COVID came around
Yeah.
because of the pollution.
And people are naive to think that just because it's important to us, it's important to everybody else. Because it's not. Putin doesn't care. If he's still alive, he doesn't care, right?
If he's alive, right?
Yeah, if he's alive, he doesn't care. So we know China doesn't care. We know most countries don't really care about the environment. We're making a
No,
big push
no.
um, to to clean up the environment. And again, I don't have a problem with that, but it has to be everybody because us alone is not going to
Right.
make a dent on it. Not no dent at all.
Out, out here, we got a big push, and they're throwing townhouses up everywhere. They're not widening roads. They're not building more schools. You can't get policemen to join. You don't have enough fire stations, and you're cutting these trees down. So when the climate people come around, I say, gee, you're really concerned about the climate? Well, your county executive and her development teams are putting stuff in here, so you have to pay more taxes, which cuts your trees down, which takes away your oxygen because the trees produce the leaves, and people don't think, and they're going, oh, but it's the climate. No, it's not always the climate. It's
No.
common sense.
And and
you know
and I think and I used those words last night. We need to get back to common sense, a common sense approach to everything.
exactly.
Right? And I brought up, I was talking about because in California, Disneyland is super expensive, right? So if you live in California,
Oh yeah.
you this analogy you understand. If you take a family of 4 or 5 to Disneyland, just to get in the door, it's probably going to be about $1,500 just to get in the door, right?
Easy.
Family.
Yep.
Once you go in there and eat and spend money, it's going to be close to $2,500 for one day at Disneyland.
Yep.
Family of 5, right?
Yep.
You can't. We know we have enough common sense to know that if we can't afford that, we're not going to go, right?
Exactly.
But the government doesn't have the common sense to say we can't spend that money because it's going to steal from this pot. So we need to make sure that this pot is taken care of before we go do this fun thing, right? They don't think like that because it's not their money, and we don't
Right.
hold them accountable for that. We don't ask questions. Kind of like the $4 billion in Los Angeles missing in action for the homeless.
Hmm.
No one can tell me. No one can prove where the money went. No one.
Somebody had to write a check to somebody, right?
Right. And they hide that well. Look at Biden. All those checks written to him, they hide them well. Um,
Oh, they found one.
yeah, they did. But until
Mhm.
they do something, it's disheartening to see what happens. So if you did something illegal, Mike, they would crucify you, right? They would
Oh,
crucify
no
you.
doubt.
You would be arrested, but they're not, right? So the law doesn't apply to them, right? Right. The DOJ, it only applies to whoever they want it to apply to, and that's the problem. The law should apply to everybody equally, regardless of who you are,
True.
and it doesn't,
Yep.
right? If you have money, you can get over, right? Um, as some lawyers are finding out, though, um, Trump lawyers, even with their money, they're not getting over because they're rolling on people, right? I think there's what,
Yeah.
4 now, 4 that rolled.
Sidney Powell, Mark Meadows. I think there was maybe another one,
There
maybe
was 3
three.
attorneys, and then his chief of staff rolled.
Yeah, that was Mark Meadows. Yeah.
Yeah. He rolled on him too. So, um, but it's funny how it doesn't happen to the other side, right? You All this investigation and all this nonsense, it's always focused on specific people, not the Bidens of the world, right? Not the Hunters of the world.
Well, the Bidens aren't even moving. They've got the information, but they won't. They'll slow roll it. They won't move it to like a court or anything, and it's slow rolls.
Yeah,
You saw when Hunter Biden went into court last time. He had a haircut. You know why he had a haircut? Because if the judge wanted to see if he was still doing drugs, they would have taken hair samples
yeah,
because that's where the drugs would stay. Not necessarily in your urine, but it would stay in your
right.
hair. So he had his attorney had him to give a buzz cut.
Yeah,
So it was
smart
they
move.
played the little game.
Smart move. Um,
Yeah,
and I know that we do those kind of drug screens for certain customers, the hair sample, because they
right.
want to know, you know, how often they do drugs, and not necessarily the last time because it doesn't matter because they'll find it in the hair sample. So
Oh
it,
yeah.
it's just amazing that we can talk about all these things and we can have conversations with people, but when it comes to taking action, people are kind of like standoffish, right? Um,
Oh
they're
yeah.
not interested, or it's not affecting me right now. But if it does, then I'm going to get engaged and try to do something, right? And that's where our failure is. Um, Dean Peterson said something yesterday that it should not only be parents, grandparents, aunts, and uncles with kids at universities and colleges that should be concerned about what's happening. We should all be concerned because those kids are our future leaders, right? And if this is the
Right.
path they're going, we're screwed. We are screwed,
Oh yeah.
right?
We'll be glad we're dead.
So when people talk about, oh, my car didn't get stolen or I didn't get assaulted, so I'm just going to stay out of it, they're making a huge mistake because we can all lose at this game if we're not all engaged at the same time. Uh, so just
Oh
because you don't
yeah.
have a kid in college or a kid in elementary school, you should be concerned what's happening to people out there, right? We should all be concerned and care and do our part, whether it's make a phone call, whether it's check on your neighbor. You don't have to do something that's huge, but you can do little
Right.
things to check on people and make sure that they're okay instead of turning a
Yep.
blind eye because your car didn't get stolen or you didn't get raped or you didn't get assaulted or your kid is not being bullied in school. Um, it's somebody else's kid. So I don't care what happens, right? That's the attitude of a lot of people, and that has to change, right?
Yep.
Because the greatest generation, the World War II people, they gave a shit, right? They gave
They
everything
did.
that they gave a shit
God
about the
rest them.
war. They came home and they did the right thing to build the country back to where we were strong, independent, um,
Yep.
beacon of the world, right? Because everybody wants to come here,
Yep.
right? No matter what anybody says, most people that leave their countries, they want to come here. They truly want to come here.
Well,
The ones that are
it's
here,
actually funny you mentioned that
yeah,
because when they had that Iranian prisoner swap, the ones that were going to give back to Iran didn't
right.
want to go. They wanted to stay here.
Yeah. Well, those people that live in that environment know what it's like. They don't want to go back to that. I
Oh,
always
it's a
say,
shithole.
I
Yeah.
always say, if you've never been anywhere outside the U.S., you don't understand what's really happening in the world out there. You just don't. Because a
Right.
lot of people, oh, I want to move to Canada. Well, yeah. Why do a lot of Canadians move to the U.S.? Right? Because they don't want to live in Canada. They don't want 50% of their money going on taxes. Right? So
Right.
people they're just naive about what's out there in the real world, um, not understanding that no matter with all the issues we have, and we have many, with all the arguments we have, and we have many, there's still no better place than here. There's no better
Right.
place than here. And people need to wake up to that and get over themselves. Um, you don't have to agree
Or
with the
go
clothes your neighbor wears. Let him wear whatever he wants or she wants, right? That's the beauty of living here.
or
You can
go
just,
visit those countries.
yeah. I
Take a
mean,
trip out to these countries,
yeah, they wouldn't
and
want to
then
do
you'll
that.
come back and say, "Thank God." Yeah. And if you like it, stay.
Hey, people don't. I remember my first tour of duty in Korea. I was shocked. And again, that was back then. It was in the mid '80s, but I was shocked of just on the hygiene level. Um, on a bus on the way to the base, we stopped at a rest stop. Women were dropping their drawers and in the street, right? And it was normal to them. Not normal to us, but it was normal to them, right? I lived in
That's just because they saw you on the bus.
I was in camp. I was in Camp Wanju. It's a city. It's a small little camp in a small town, Wanju, and our base was intermingled with the people that live in the village. So we had a
Okay.
gate surrounding the base, but we had people living in there in the same area we were living. Um, you know, it was tents back then. It wasn't buildings like today, but um, you see that and you're like, hell. You know, you had military people in the street, sandbags around the position. We don't see that here. We just don't.
No, right? No.
And
Yeah.
you could come and go as you please. Um, it's just amazing to me that people have so much hatred for the flag and the country we live in,
Oh, that's
but yet they don't want to leave, right?
hey,
To me, if I'm in an ugly situation, I want to get out of it. But they're too happy complaining, whining, sniveling about things that aren't relevant or promoting violence, right? Like what happened at Harvard, what's happening at UCLA, what's happening at
oh yeah,
USC, right? Pro Hamas. Hamas is wonderful. Hamas is a great group of people. Israel needs to be vanished because they're bad, right?
well, yeah. They
Um,
keep saying Israel's doing genocide. Who fired the first rocket? Yeah, who you can't get it. And I was looking at something somebody sent me, and it said there's never been a country of Palestine. I mean, through
nope.
the Ottoman Empire and everything. So what makes you think this is your country? We are helping you out by letting you stay here. And yeah, it's
And
nuts.
I'm okay with Palestine having their own country and Israel having their own part. My problem is that they always involve this third party, right? These terrorist groups that thrive on what's happening in the world, right? They use religion, right? Who in their right mind kills babies and decapitates them? Who, right?
Terrorists.
No,
Yeah.
no sane person would do that, right?
Right.
But these freaking terrorists, asswipes, they do it. They don't care, right? They don't care, right? The more atrocities they cause, the better they feel. And for people
Right.
in college to be pro Hamas
Ignorant.
after everything they've seen, I don't even care if you're not pro Israel. You should not be pro Hamas at all, right? Because what
Right.
they're doing is wrong. What they did was wrong. But yet these
That's just
kids are
ignorance.
condoning this stuff.
Yeah, they just
Ignorance
they
or
watch
just
the stuff, and if you ask them questions about it, they ain't got a clue. Why are you supporting them? Because the Israelis are committing genocide. No, the Israelis didn't come over and attack you and kill people at a festival. They did, dumbass. And
well,
they don't have any idea. See, I
I
am
had this
not politically
conversation.
correct.
Yeah, I'm not either. I had a conversation 3 days ago with somebody online who was telling me that besides being naive, I don't understand the plight of Hamas and the Palestinian people. I'm like, well, I don't understand their plight because they're a terrorist group. They're killing people left and right. They're killing young kids. They're killing old people. Right? If
Right?
if they were going toe to toe with Israel, then that's different. But they're not. They're doing
Right.
at least Russia's fighting Ukraine, right? Like a real war, right?
Right.
This Hamas killing innocent kids.
Hiding them in tunnels, hostages. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they have tunnels. They're keeping people in tunnels, so they're everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Who
And
does that except the terrorists?
I saw a thing where they actually had the missile sites. One was in front of a UN building they had there, so they don't want to get attacked there because it'll hit the UN building, and if they attack it, there's a mosque behind it, so they're trying to insulate themselves with civilian type targets. And it
Right,
was crazy. That's how the hospital got hit.
right, and
The
then of course, then they're
dumbasses
going
did
to
it
blame.
behind a hospital in the cemetery.
Then they're gonna blame
Yeah.
the wrong people for it. So,
Oh,
hey, Mikey,
oh
we're
yeah,
at we're at the hour. Thank you for
we
tonight.
are. Well,
Everybody,
go
if you
have
want
fun.
it was a good night tonight. Thank you for tuning into the Tony Rodriguez Show on the Next Gen, Sensorless TV. We'll be back next week. If you want to reach out to me, you can find me at my website, Tony, the number 4, California.us. I am running for California Assembly Seat District 44, which is Burbank, Glendale, La Crescenta, Montrose, Valley Village, Shadow Hills, Sunland, Tahunga, um, and Lakeview Terrace. Check me out. Donate if you can because I need your help. I'm running against 6 Democrats. Um, my phone number's on the website. Give me a call and I'll definitely talk to you or anybody else. Thank you, everybody, and good night.
Good night, guys.